The past couple of weeks trading have been pretty slow for me. I'm still in the positions which I entered roughly 3 weeks ago inside of the Elite program. All of those positions are running nicely, but at the moment there is literally nothing which I can do. Meanwhile, gold and silver are sitting at extremely interesting levels. Going into 2024, what is going to happen with gold and silver, I will tell it to you in the next couple of minutes. If you're looking at the headlines, and I just picked two headlines just for illustration. First of all, we have the World Gold Council's 2024 outlook sees only a slight chance of prices falling. They are super bullish on gold. And on the other side, if you're looking at analysts, they also think that the price of gold will head higher due to less inflation, due to the dollar index potentially dropping lower. So everybody is bullish for gold. Usually, this is a bearish sign because, as you know, the majority of analysts, the majority of traders, they are wrong and they lose money. But you also know that I'm not paying attention to news and fundamentals, etc. I'm only paying attention to price action and the chart. First of all, I want you to take a look at the dollar index because gold XAU USD is traded against the dollar, and usually if the dollar moves towards the upside, this means that gold should be bearish and it's more likely that we will see a push lower on gold. So let's take a first look at the DXY. Technical analysis, pretty simple. What you can see right here is that if you're looking at the higher time frames like I am always doing, we are still sitting at this support level. You can see it's roughly at this $100 level, which is also a psychological level. It's still acting as support. We had this first resistance, we had this second resistance, and then we had a beautiful break and retest. And me personally, I also traded this minor bounce right here. I also have to be honest because I thought that we will see more continuation towards the upside, but you also have to say that we are still above this support level. There could be the possibility that on the DXY we will see another rejection towards the upside. So far this is still possible, but if and only if we see a monthly closure, probably I'm waiting for 2 monthly closures below this $100 level. I'm not paying attention to wicks like we saw right here because this is usually even a bullish indication that we will see a push higher. But I want to see a monthly closure below this $100 level, potentially even below this wick low, which is at this $99.7 level. If we get a bearish closure like this, then I'm certainly bearish on the dollar, which means I'm bullish on Euro USD, and then I'm also very bullish for gold. But just because the dollar index is overall still in an uptrend, this does not mean that gold has to drop. Because if we're taking a look at gold, and I will also take a quick look at silver afterwards, but first of all, if you take a look at gold, you can see that we created a new all-time high on gold. But looking at the daily time frame, this was again such a massive liquidation wick. I mean, throughout the day, I woke up and gold was up roughly 4%. By the end of the day, we had a move of minus almost 5.5% away from the all-time high, which is very bearish price action if you're looking at the daily time frame. But if you're looking at the overall higher time frames, in this case the monthly time frame, which is super powerful, you can see that yes, we do have resistance sitting exactly at this $2,000 level, and it's a psychological level, which means that always when we reached this level, sellers who are stepping in and pushing prices lower a first time, a second time, a third time. But you also know that the more often we retest a zone, the higher the likelihood that we will eventually break it. And for a very long time, gold has been trading in this triangle formation. We had a beautiful rally, Now we are consolidating back and forth between the upper resistance and between this rising support trend line. And considering that we entered bullish into this triangle formation, and most of the time a triangle is a continuation pattern, there is a higher chance that we will see a break towards the upside. And to measure this price target, and I know some people will call me insane, you take this impulse, you then have the consolidation, and after gold breaks out, we will once again have a move of this impulse, which means that in this case, my price target for gold is exactly this $3,300 to $3,300 level. I know this sounds crazy because this means that we will have another 50% pump on gold, and a lot of people will argue that this will never be possible, but just looking at the technicals, it certainly is. If, on the other side, we will break below the trend line, and I will probably also wait for a break below this previous low, then gold is certainly bearish. We had a breakdown here, but then you can see this was a beautiful fake out. We broke lower, but then we didn't really have a follow through, and we also didn't break this previous low. And then we had a break back above the trend line. The rest was history. We had a rally of 50% on gold. 50%, if you look at it like that, is already a lot, but if you're using leverage, if you're using leverage products, you can make a lot of money on a move towards the upside like this. So gold, we could see another short-term rejection away from the resistance. Overall, I'm bullish, and I eventually do expect a breakout. More interesting, and you can also certainly play this with leverage, is silver. Why? Because we do have an even more interesting pattern there. Price target is the same as gold, massive pump, but why? We do have this super obvious flag formation on silver. And first I drew my flag like this. You can also still draw it like that and say that this was a fake out. Again, technical analysis is very subjective. I will now just draw it like this. We entered bullish into this flag. Also right here, a flag formation is most of the time a bullish continuation pattern. We have been hugging this resistance, this upper resistance. It's actually red, and this here is support. We have been hugging this upper resistance over and over again. And the more often we retest a zone, the higher the likelihood that we will eventually break it. I do expect a breakout on silver, and you can perfectly measure the price target. We had this major impulse. This right here was an impulse of 140%. Let's just say 100%. And then from here a move towards the upside brings us all the way up to 40, 45 or even $50, which then perfectly retests this previous all-time high. And if I say silver, $50, $40, a lot of people again will call me insane, but the chart is looking bullish. If this plays out, then we will have a massive move. And we do have patterns playing out on silver over and over again. Very powerful patterns. A lot of people, they get caught up in the short-term moves, but we do have very juicy patterns on gold, on silver, on other commodities. And if you're right, you can make a lot of money. So on silver, also right here, we could see another short-term rejection away from the resistance, but eventually I do expect a breakout and then just more continuation higher. First target $40, $45, and then $50. Of course, I will also play this inside the Elite Trader program. If you want to check it out, first link in the description. If you also want to sign up for my trading newsletter, first link in the description. Keep your long-term vision. Cheers.